All right. Who killed masculinity in video games?
Does anybody else feel like masculinity has slowly been drained from modern video games?
A
I
little.
was looking at
Yeah.
recent staff photos of Ubisoft and Halo Infinite developers, and it's all starting to.
Yeah, there ain't no dudes. Well, if there are, there's like, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be assuming someone's gender. But yeah, I mean, just knee jerk. It's mostly women.
Make sense. It's a bunch of fat white liberal women. And white liberal women have no interest in masculine, manly, male characters. They wouldn't even know how to write one if they tried.
Why Halo Infinite was bad. What?
This is why Rockstar, a company founded by men that at least in 2018 was still mostly run by men, created the magnum opus Red Dead Redemption 2, a game with a manly, well-written main protagonist, Arthur Morgan. If you want to see the seismic shift away from masculine characters, honestly, all you need to do is play a few
Games were way more masculine in the 2000s.
from 2006, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Consider how many masculine military games came out in the 2000s.
God, there were so many, dude. Such to the point where when I was reading like my Game Informer and on like the G4 channel, uh there would be multiple times where everyone was talking about, oh, there's too many World War II video games, there's too many war games, there's too many too many war games. It was just saturated. That genre, that era was simply too saturated.
Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Brothers in Arms, Gears of War, Operation Flashpoint,
Yep.
Rainbow Six,
Yep.
Ghost Recon, Splinter
Yep.
Cell.
Yep.
All of
Splinter Cell. It's not really war. I mean, yeah, it's a shooter, but like war shooter, war shooter, war shooter, war shooter. Never played, but it looks like a war shooter. This is like a what would you say that Rainbow Six 3 is? Like you go on a mission and there's obviously a bunch of bad guys you kill and you have like a little team. I mean, Splinter Cell is more like stealth action.
these games
But
were
yeah,
starring men and had themes like brotherhood, duty, sacrifice, honor. Almost all
yeah.
of these franchises have either been killed off, turned into multiplayer games, or went woke. I often
Yeah.
wonder why so few modern
What? No, Splinter Cell. Well, Splinter Cell was killed off, yeah. Uh the last good Splinter Cell was the last game that Splinter Cell came out with, and I thought it was awesome.
games appeal to me. And I think another big reason is this. Everything is just so gay now.
Um the whole gay now thing, I mean, when you think about it, like so far he's referenced a lot of the FPS genre, and the FPS genre, you can't really break all the components down in the conventional sense, like fantasy action RPG, like Diablo or PoE or like Honkai Star Rail or like a lot of gotcha games. You know, you buy the upgraded version of a thing, the thing does more damage. I mean, you kind of can in shooters, but for the most part, all of the free to play shooters are they have no like pay to win mechanics or anything like that. And because a lot of FPSs are just, the free to play, they have to appeal to the most amount of people as possible. That's their goal. They don't want to zone in on any one specific demographic of people. So with that, you have to include gay people and everybody from LGBTQIA, whatever. Despite whether or not you think they're a minority or like a slightly like minority plus a little more than it or whatever. So, I mean, it's I wish I could say it's like it's just good business appealing to everybody. I mean, which it is, but like I don't know.
Compare the games I just mentioned to
everything gay all the time. I mean, and Seer, like, yes, I don't know, like, the relationship of fucking Seer from Apex Legends. I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, you can kind of tell he's, like, kind of gay or whatever, but it's not, like, the forefront, really, of his personality. I mean, I don't really care about the fucking sexuality of any of these fucking characters, to be honest, in Apex or Overwatch. Uh, with the free-to-play shooters, the thing that rules over everything is the gameplay for Overwatch, and I know you didn't reference Overwatch yet, but you probably will. Um, yeah, the gameplay. It is just so lucky that with Apex and Overwatch, the gameplay is just really good. Same thing for Call of Duty and Fortnite. I mean, I don't know if you're going to reference those things at all, but yeah, Fortnite is, I would say, is like neutral. It it's not like leaning one way or the other. I would say Fortnite is pretty neutral because it has like literally everybody in there. Um, the saturated colors usually tends to lean towards like a more younger audience. Uh, what else? Call of Duty, Call of Duty, the brand of like Warzone and even the multiplayer, like it does skew to like the teenage vibe of like more adult themes. So like yes, you could like grow a little bit older and still enjoy Call of Duty, but I don't know. Let's just keep going.
the modern trash we have to deal with.
I mean, and we're on the part on gay games. Like you didn't even mention. Well, I didn't let you mention yet. There's a lot of just because a game has like gay people in it doesn't mean it's a bad game. I mean, and you'll probably mention that, but I mean, just look at like a lot of the old RPGs where you could pick either a male or a female and then have a relationship with either a male or a female. Look at Mass Effect. Look at Baldur's Gate. Look at any other game that you can choose like your relationship status with.
In Overwatch and Apex. Almost every character in these new games is either gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, or something else. Like, what happened to a masculine dude?
And I don't know actually why they do that. Why they have to put the sexuality in there, because a person's sexuality is not their entire personality. It's just like a piece of it. Can we have this back? Bro, Duke Nukem wasn't even a good game. This just was like an over-the-top parody version of masculinity.
Dude with a hot chick on his arm. I love the idea of Xbox Game Pass, but I swear every time I open it up and look for new games, there's just so many games that look gay now.
There's just so many games that look gay now. I mean, and you could usually tell with like the super saturated colors and whatnot. I mean,
refuse to play another cutesy 2D platformer or a game with a cutesy art style by some indie developer anymore.
And honestly, it's like I don't know who these developers are, but you know, Flashbulb, Tiny Build, Cult Games, they know where the target market is. It's usually people under 30 is what I think. Like, you know, there was that Capcom like little survey that came out where they took a survey of like a couple 100,000 people and they said like what age bracket do you fall under? And the two most popular ones, or not popular, but like in first and second place was like 30 and 40, which just goes to show you that you know, it's not like gaming dies when you become an adult. It just simply like the target demographic ages. It's not like they stop liking video games entirely. It's just games that they want to play just aren't being made. So what do you have to do? You have to target people that are like under 30, essentially. And it kind of seems like that is the meta of not just video games, but movies, books, TV shows, and even like the election. You know, just recently, well, by the time this video comes out, like Aiden Ross had like a little stream with like Donald Trump, and that whole deal was to, you know, part of like the marketing thing to like, hey, go vote for Trump or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, he's trying to target a demographic of like 20 year olds. like teenagers and 20, maybe mid 20s. I would say under 30-year-old people, like somewhere between age 16 and 30. That's the target demographic with that move. And so once you see like the United States presidency doing things like that, it's kind of telling that the what all businesses are vying for any type of product is that somewhere between 16 and 30 target age range with customers. So I don't know, how smart are you between the ages of 16 to, I don't know, 25 even. Probably not that smart. I mean, I wasn't that smart. So
I'm just done with these games. If you want my 100% real thoughts on this, I just think the entire video game industry has gone woke and gay, and almost nothing they are making appeals to me in any way anymore. So this is why I mostly play 20-year-old games on my channel, because they were just better. I was recently reading an insider interview about what went down at Volition Studios with the disastrous Saints Row reboot from an inside source. This source said that the LGBTQ community within the company was actually pretty small, but they are the loudest and the most annoying. And
damn. LGBT community was pretty small, but people were afraid to offend them. Wrote it to key roles. Translation threatened. And that's what it seems like. Just for you to have like a very small community, but be very like tight knit like that. I mean, everybody wants to be a part of a group that's like that, really. And you know, with the advent of the internet becoming more and more popular, and more people just growing up with the internet, the if you're part of a group and you are like, and the group that you're in is very tight knit and like very like goal oriented, that can be a very like pretty powerful thing.
the company leadership chose to promote these people into key roles. And that's how you get the absolute dumpster fire of a game that was Saints Row 2022.
But the one thing, or at least one of the things that are more powerful than a tight knit group is the profit of a game. If you want to make a game that is quote unquote gay, and you can put it out for the rest of the world to look at and observe and experience, uh, you're just gonna be met with the like the numbers don't lie. Like a lot of the times when when a game comes out and the main selling point of the game is its sexuality of the game, it is never good. It's just the numbers don't back it, like purely. But it is different when you have games like Mass Effect or Baldur's Gate, or I mean, there's got to be more examples than that. I'm just just riffing off the top of my head. Whenever the sexuality part of a game as is treated as like a little side quest, then the game does good.
I think what you have at a lot of these game studios is about 80% of the staff is probably just hetero dudes trying to do their job, but they're afraid of speaking up or saying what they actually think. And then you have the LGBTQ folks making decisions about what kind of game to make. And everything just ends up being safe and soft and sensitive because, oh, we can't hurt anybody's feelings. So, of course,
Safe, soft, inoffensive. So what's the opposite of safe? Risky, unsafe, soft, hard, inoffensive, offensive. So risky, hard, offensive. All of those things were in those other games, like at the beginning with like all the war games and whatnot. And it doesn't have to be exclusively a war game, because if you use just the example of all these like war games back here, it makes it seem like it's very like warmongery. but being like a warmonger, like like having like that quality isn't exclusively um or it's not exclusively, like it's not the only thing that appeals to men.
And soft and sensitive because, oh, we can't hurt anybody's feelings. So, of course, you get these shitty dumpster fire video games that nobody wants to play. After reading a lot of insider interviews at these developers, this is my sense of what has been happening. I also feel like there's this kind of unholy alliance right now between games journalists, white liberal women at game studios, and the LGBTQ community at game studios. And they all seem to be united around one thing: they actually hate gamers. And who are gamers overwhelmingly?
Mm.
Well, heterosexual dudes like us.
It's dudes. Like you can't really get around it. Most people that play video games are guys. It just goes back to this example that I can easily use anytime. With the it was like a Bill Burr joke. It wasn't. Well, how'd it go? It was something, but it wasn't the men that failed to show up at the WNBA. It was the women who failed to show up to the WNBA because the WNBA was made for women. And whenever that shit went on, they looked at the stands and realized not a lot of women were showing up. That's just a fact of the matter. It was women that failed the WNBA, not men. All right, so you can have all of the, what do you call it, autonomy to make whatever game you want, but if it doesn't appeal even to the target market, or let's say it does appeal to the target market that you got your eye on, and let's say you target it with like 100% effectiveness. If that bottom number at the end of the day doesn't even help you reach like a profitable margin, well then that's just bad business, dude. It is. So you can't say that it's straight white men that are like failing games or failing game development or whatever. It's everybody else. Or it's everybody else, man. Like you could target whoever you want, but if those people aren't showing up to play your game, that's on you.
Of course. This recent Reddit thread was written by an actual game developer and made me realize this.
Oh, let me see. Is he gonna read it?
It reads, headline:
Am I allowed to say this? I kind of hate gamers. I'm a professional game designer, and I'm worried that I'm
Hopefully, this guy did this on like a burner account because there's no way he'd be able to get away with this.
starting to hate gamers. Watching the gaming events on YouTube last month with the chat on was extremely disheartening experience. Every time a character that wasn't a cishet white man appeared on screen,
When the new words have abbreviations and then they get smushed together, I think that's kind of funny, and it's like accelerationist, because I think, what is it, cis means like either straight or like what, like non-straight, and then hetero, I mean fuck, I forgot, dude. Cis hetero white man, I mean I fucking forgot all these goddamn definitions, dude. It's ridiculous. Appeared. Okay.
the chats would fill with messages calling the game woke or complaining about DEI. Every game that wasn't a shooter or a hyper-casual competitive online game garnered zzz and boring comments. I've seen people implying that the MC and
Well, every game that wasn't a shooter or a hyper casual competitive online garnered Z. So, I mean, bro, like honestly, the FPS community is actually like cooked by itself. I can say that like easily. The FPS community of people, they are so like deprived, like they are so voracious and deprived of like anything. Like they have no idea what they want. Okay, I'll go ahead and say that the FPS genre or community, they have no idea what they want at all. Some people want competitive, some people want casual, some people want roguelike, some people want stagnant all the time, or like, and the opposites of those are like, and when I say roguelike, I mean like random or just like completely static, sameness every time, nothing random. Yeah.
Fable trailers is ugly because it's a self-insert of some random level designer working at Playground whom they deemed not fuckable enough.
Well, I don't even know if that's the case, but whenever you put out like a little piece of story or a piece of content, I don't know, like the longer I am on the internet, the more easily I realize that the internet can just sniff that shit out. And I don't know why, but it's just like a feeling, and it's hard to describe a feeling or whatever, but it's just when I can just smell a self-insert now. I mean, I couldn't before.
I don't know. It's just the internet magnifying negative voices, I guess, doing what it does best. But it's making me real tired of gamers.
So at this point, it seems that game
And why would you think a singular YouTube chat could represent the entirety of gamers? Okay, that's ridiculous to think that any one singular chat is a representation of all gamers. You do know there are more people that play games that are not in that chat than are in that chat.
games journalists and all of the liberal LGBT mafia that work at game studios actually hate their audience. And this is a comment I keep reading from you guys again and again. I swear they literally hate us. They seem to be dead set on giving their audience exactly what we don't want.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they have the full autonomy to make whatever game they want and sell it however they want. But you know what they can't do? They can't force us to buy it.
How long is your business going to be open if you're dead set on not giving the customer what they want? This is why when skanks like Alyssa Mercante are crying about Kotaku shutting down and losing their jobs, and game studios are going under because they were associated with Sweet Baby Inc., I just laugh.
Oh yeah, what was that? German video game developer shuts down after hiring Sweet Baby Inc. What? Oh God. What happened? Oh my God. Yeah, man. That just seems to be the trend. And it sucks because not all the game developers are plugged into the internet as like the casual internet tourists like myself. By any means.
Are going under because they were associated with Sweet Baby Inc., I just laugh. Let them burn. Let all these companies burn who don't know how to give the audience. The wonderful irony in all this is that it's the very games that the woke cancel mob has tried to
J.K. Rowling is a trans bigot 111.
cancel that seem to do the best. Remember
Hogwarts Legacy sold over 24 million units.
Legacy? Yeah, men who dress in women's clothes tried to get it canceled. Instead, the game sold 25 million copies. Oops. Remember Elden Ring? Remember how the woke mob tried to accuse FromSoft games of having, quote, problematic depictions of women?
How? I wasn't even there for that. I mean, like, maybe I was, but like, I didn't hear anything about Elden Ring problematic female representation.
Oops. Sold 25 million copies. At this point, making an offensive game seems to guarantee that game's success.
Yeah.
We could talk about Stellar Blade.
Like, and it's not just offensive things that equal success. It's like, whenever you're making a game with some story in it, you have to have some risk in it. And you have to have things that are like on the line. And when things are on the line, you have to start dealing with things that are like taboo in like normal everyday culture. Especially like if a game is like all hack and slashy, high fantasy RPG and whatnot, because you don't have the technology to deal with things that you can today that you couldn't back then. Because back in the day, you just had to solve all your problems by force. You have to solve all your issues by killing the other guy.
pissing off all of the liberal progressives, and yet everybody went out and bought it. Okay, so in the rest of this video, I want to give you 4 examples of a game or game series going from masculine to feminine or gay.
Games either became more feminine or more gay. Red Storm Entertainment. I don't know that one. Wolfenstein. Really? Gears. Nah. Really? Saints Row. Maybe. Huh. I am not so sure about. I don't even know what Red Storm is, and I was just never a fan of like GTA or Saints Row back in the day. I just knew Saints Row was like the kiddie version of GTA. But Wolfenstein and Gears. Huh.
And it basically either killed or ruined the franchise. Number 1, Ubisoft and Red Storm Entertainment. So Red Storm Entertainment was a video game company founded by the legendary Tom Clancy to make Tom Clancy video games. He sold the company to Ubisoft in the year 2000, and Ubisoft in the 2000s actually had some balls and made some of the manliest games you've ever seen. There were the Splinter Cell games, the Ghost Recon games, the Rainbow Six games, and the Far Cry games. All of these games pretty much feature exclusively men, and these IPs in the 2000s had much testosterone, just a single glance from a woman in their direction would get her pregnant. I mean, motherfucking Sam Fisher, come on.
Yeah.
The dude is the ultimate Giga Chad. Scott Mitchell in Ghost Recon. Now, you pick your own character in Far Cry 2, but it's definitely a manly game that will put hair on your chest. So what is Red Storm Entertainment up to today? Well, I recently saw that Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland is being led by a man who dresses in women's clothes in his free time.
Okay.
Now, look, I don't give a shit if you want to identify as a dragon and go around laying magic eggs, but
Jesus.
Can we agree that the least masculine thing on earth you can do is dress in women's clothes? Tom Clancy would be rolling over in his grave right now if he knew the absolute disaster that Red Storm Entertainment had become. Number 2, Wolfenstein.
Dang.
So I was recently playing Wolfenstein The New Order for the first time, which came out in 2014. And I have to say, of all the games I was sure were going to avoid woke Western progressivism, this game was pretty high up there. The first 3 entries of the reboot were all fantastic. They had the badass BJ Blazkowicz, an absolute unit, as the main character, ripping apart entire armies of Nazis with the sexy and smart Anya as his arm candy and wife. Machine Game's first 3 Wolfenstein entries, which came out in 2014, 2015, and 2017, are all great. They have normal men and women doing normal shit in them. Awesome. But of course, the woke mob had to get involved somehow. So you have a beloved series with a beloved, tough, male, manly main character. Do you suppose it's a good idea to kill off that guy and replace him with cringy girl boss characters? Wolfenstein Youngblood came out in 2019, and it's an absolute tone-deaf disaster. So
I didn't even hear about that. I had no idea they did that.
So many modern video games, I find myself asking, who wanted this? Who asked for this? I often ask the same thing of the new Star Wars shows by Kathleen Kennedy as well. The Wolfenstein reboot had the perfect synergy of story and gameplay. You are BJ Blazkowicz, unleashing his rage on the Nazis for killing everyone he loved. You see this come across in his brutal assassinations, like sticking a rusty pipe through the eye socket of an SS Waffen commander.
Dang.
But the setup to Wolfenstein Youngblood is incredibly cringe. In it, you play as BJ's daughters, and they're honestly nothing like him. The first time you kill somebody, they don't really want to do it. And when they finally kill the guy, they have to have lattes and talk about it afterwards. Youngblood is a perfect example of how a cutscene can go so wrong in a game.
Jeez.
BJ's setup is perfect and explains to you why you're doing.
I would say that there is something that like men do, and it's probably gonna be like a little against it, like the killing somebody and having a latte talking about it. I don't know. I think men can kind of do the same thing in terms of you kill somebody and then light a cigar and talk about it. You kill somebody and eat an apple and talk about it. All right, that first one, the cigar, happens in like so many video games and movies and shit, and then the other one was in fucking 300. Okay, those are the most masculine movies ever. It's not like the act of doing the thing. I think it's how it's portrayed, and a lot of the times it's like it's I don't know. It's just uh, it seems like really weird. Well, not weird, but like it seems like I don't know. It's just a vibe killer doing the latte and talking about it thing. But to be honest, um, I would say that none of this would even matter if any of these games were good. I'd venture to say that if the core gameplay is like still there, and the storytelling is still good, then none of this would be an issue. But since something along those lines have been like destroyed, then it's like it seems like it's a problem.
Doing the actions you're doing. BJ's daughters, however, are acting like they're in an episode of Big Bang Theory the whole time, but oh yeah, they just happen to be killing Nazis, and haha, isn't this so funny? It's tonally all over the place and just so full of cringy and awful cinematics, which is ironic because the cinematics in the first three games were like so good and short, and they got to the point and they were really emotional and impactful. Example number 3, Gears of War. For a full explanation of how the woke mob girl bossed Gears of War, see my video on that game, but I'll keep this short. The first 3 Gears games are an incredible trilogy focusing on the bonds and brotherhood between men. They are incredibly masculine games, focusing on duty and sacrifice and military orders. And I know some of you hate this, but for 10,000 years, it's only been men fighting wars. Sorry. The first 3 games...
Yeah, it's not like it's a privilege to be fighting a war. If that's what your thought is, it's not a privilege to be like fighting a war.
Focus on Marcus, Dom, Cole, and Baird and tell a masculine story of brotherhood. Well, the progressive woke mob somehow got to Gears of War, and Gears 4 and 5 are about sisterhood, motherhood, being a traitor, and what it feels like to be a woman. They introduced the character of Kate Diaz, who I don't think anybody gives a
So I forgot what was the last Gears of War I played, but I don't think I played this one.
single fuck about. What they should have done is put Kate in a spin-off game, not a mainline Gears entry. But here's the problem, of course, nobody would have bought it. So unfortunately, Gears 4 and 5 are basically girl boss, feminist Gears of War, and any masculine story about men is put on the back burner. Of course, the games include Baird and Marcus in them, but they're really on the back burner, and Gears is now about Kate Diaz, who I've never talked to a Gears fan even cares about.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Well, yeah, because most fans of Gears are men. All right. Like, seldom have I ever heard like another dude be like, "Oh, I like this game," and it featured like a woman as the main character. Seldom does a game ever get to pull that off. There's a couple of them, like Tomb Raider, Bayonetta. What else? There's probably like a couple more in there. I can't really think right now.
Example number 4, the Saints Row reboot. Saints Row spent 10 years building up characters and building up a very distinctive and edgy and male sense of humor. It's the kind of stuff you and the guys would laugh at. Some of the recurring characters in Saints Row are Johnny Gat, Julius, Aisha, Shondi, and several others. In these games, the men are men and the women are women. Johnny is edgy and hilarious and always has a hot chick on his arm.
Yeah, but these games aren't perfect either. I mean, a lot of the times, I think this game does a good job of acknowledging that it is simply a parody of GTA, where GTA probably tries to be a little bit more serious, and this game is just a little more over the top in terms of like just characters and reactions and stereotypes on top of it.
The humor is crude and hilarious, and the Saints are always getting into trouble. So what went wrong with the reboot? Well, the woke 2022 reboot thought it was a good idea to kill off every single character from the old Saints Row games, and I guess they thought we would be cool with that. But don't worry, all of the beloved characters you've come to know and love have been replaced with tokenistic characters from a literal seminar on diversity. You've got the gay Asian man, the girl boss lesbian, another girl boss lesbian, and the gay black guy. The LGBTQ mafia didn't just kill Saints Row, they crucified it on a rainbow flag. And this is what you get, guys. This is what you.
Congratulations, everybody lost their jobs and Volition closed down. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, it seems that if there is like an LGBTQ person in a video game, it's pretty obvious that that's like everyone can identify the LGBTQ person. So it's not like you could easily identify like the straight characters in games, but I can make the argument that I can easily identify a lot of the LGBTQ people in just as many video games. Like, as much as straight people are tokenistic, the like what the trend has been is that the LGBTQ characters have also been tokenistic. And it just goes to show that like putting your sexuality as like the forefront thing in your personality is kind of stupid. And that's not the thing that sells games.
You fuckers get for supporting these people. They turn out shitty games that aren't funny, that aren't cool, that aren't masculine. So stop hiring these people. Game developers need to stop putting gay stuff in games, and they need to fire every liberal white woman if they want us to ever buy a game again. Because I'm serious, we are done with this shit. We're not buying these games. Like, Phil Spencer is out here complaining about how people aren't spending as much money on games anymore.
Yeah.
I guarantee if you give us hetero dudes hot chicks in games again and manly men, you will see sales go through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, maybe enough time has passed to like bring back the like World War II era, or like this whole thing of like squad-based counter-terror. Maybe enough time has passed to bring something like that back. Maybe, but you know what I think? Squad-based counter-terror. You know what this says to me? And I just had this thought. You know how Monster Hunter goes with like it's like a bunch of quests up until like the end monster, but within each quest you can fire off like a flare to do like a new boss and to like fly in 3 other dudes. Could you do that same thing but with like a 4-person mission type thing with Rainbow Six? Like, have a bunch of different like missions. You could do them solo, or if you want help, fire off like a flare or something or whatever, and just wait outside the mission. Be like, yo, I need some help, and then you just have people come in and help you. It's like an MMO light version, but for FPS instead of like Monster Hunter. I just had this thought, so yeah, just make that happen to somebody, because that's a good ass idea. But as far as bringing like all this back, I mean, a lot of it was like housed around the genre of FPS. And I think this argument only works within FPS, because the moment you veer outside of it and you go into like high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings type shit, you'll see that there has been like some success with introducing like, you know, gay people or LGBTQ people inside the high fantasy, so long as, you know, it's not at the forefront. But yeah.
Back the glory days of video games. I have this theory that in a few years we're going to see a turn back to the golden era of video games, and people are going to start buying games again. I recently saw this crazy chart from 2023 that basically showed that people are only playing old games these days.
Yeah, the whole and it's so weird because there are so many things on that. Like, most people are only playing like their favorite free-to-play game, like the always online ones, or if they're not playing their favorite free-to-play game, they're simply playing all the old games. And meanwhile, the head honchos of like each respective, like Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, are sitting here wondering, where's all the gamers? Why aren't they buying all the new games? Well, it's because there's nothing good being fucking put out, dude. We don't want to buy this new shit. That new game, yeah, that one looked like it sucked. And then they're gonna try and like what do you call it? They're gonna try to dance around the issue of not showing gameplay, not showing anything story driven. They're just gonna show like some cinematics and shit like that, and then bait you into buy some pre-orders and shit like that. And
Nobody wants to play anything that's new out right now because it's all woke and it all sucks so bad. So anyway, guys, let's all hope there's a return of masculine characters in games again at some point that we can relate to. All right, I'm out.
it's not just masculine characters; it's just good gameplay. Period. I think. Um, it's a bunch of things. Like masculinity of a character is only like a facet to what makes a good game, I think. But yeah, I mean overall it's a good ass video. I liked it. I'm a fan now, so but yeah. Meanwhile in Asia, let's give gamers what they want. Cool dudes and hot chicks. No joke, the developers of a game called Snowbreak, Contaminant Zone said in an interview. Bro, is 2008 to 2019 gaming, 2020 to 2024 gaming. Bro is not afraid of getting canceled. Yeah, stop buying these games; they'll destroy themselves. That's the truest of true, man. If you don't like any of these games, just vote with your wallet and just don't buy them. Nobody can force you to like buy any of these products, which is the truth. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we could get into more of like what makes a game good or bad or whatever, but I think he did bring up a lot of good points. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.